Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 10 versus 10 on airfield, and I'm going to be playing with the 7th Panzerdivision. Well, it's been a little while since I covered a destruction game on the channel, and a 10v10 destruction is always good fun. And in this case, we're playing with the 7th, which is another division that I probably haven't looked at in a while. And we're going to be bringing out these beautiful T-72s. So we've got the T-72Ms, 3 of those at the start. We've got 2 Cubs. Bringing up a decent radar AA at the start of a game is always a decent idea in a 10v10, because quite a lot of aircraft often get invested into. You just got to make sure that you do turn them off in case any of it is seed, and then you can turn them back on once you're in range of those other units. But Specialzaufkläder are going to be leading the charge. We've got a couple of Conkers here and the SPW-40 to capture, or at least contest, this sector. So Fabricator moving up with a lot of forward deploy infantry here at the start. Grads firing away. I'm going to be hitting that pretty hard. Specialzaufkläder in that building, able to help finish off those troops as well. More infantry coming around the left-hand side. They're going to be forced to unload as all of the AGMs get unleashed across the airfield. You've got to remember that this is all about kills. So destruction 10v10, the way that it works is when you capture a sector, it gives you income. So by controlling Whiskey entirely, we're getting +3 per 3 seconds, I believe it is. And therefore, you know, if you capture multiple sectors, it kind of adds up quite quickly. But that's how you get your income, and then in order to get points, you have to kill enemy units. And when you kill an enemy unit, you see the pop-up of the unit that you've killed. So you see the +55 there from the aero rifles. So the T-72s here having a great time, just absolutely blasting these poor aero rifles to pieces as they run between the tornadoes that are part of the scenery there. Here comes the Buratino. Gonna be double Buratino as Fox unleashes absolute burning hell onto these poor infantry squads. And yeah, that's one way to deal with them, that's for sure. Now the MO-24V getting some good rockets on target as my T-72s continue to march forwards. I've got the SPW-70s providing some decent MG support as well. Look at that view. The T-72 is just advancing into the flames and taking out any units that stand in their way. Specialzaufkläder moving ahead to provide recon. The SPW-70 is also advancing onto contact so that the T-72s can then continue to engage from range. But I've managed to get into the air control tower here with the Specialzaufkläder, and they aren't being spotted at the moment. So that's allowing me to maintain eyes on everything on the backside here. Huge artillery strike smashes this tree line. My Cubs just about getting away from that, but more T-72s on the way as we continue our push through the center of the map, and already off to a great start as our opponents have lost quite a lot of infantry out in the open, and that spectacular Buratino strike smashing all of those infantry to pieces. Yeah, never underestimate how useful these SPWs can be in fire support roles. Don't just waste them by charging them into the enemy. Just keep them at a position where you can utilize either the maximum range of the machine gun or the actual KPVT with the 1,400 meter range. Like, ideally you want to be able to use both. So 1,200, sorry, the 1,025 meter range here of the PKT as well as the KPVT. But if you have to, just keep it at the 1,400 meter range, because letting them get killed off like that, even to, you know, a Kiowa and Apache, is still a bit of a waste. So I've got to be careful with my T-72s now, because the Apache, of course, can do a lot of damage to them. But I'm taking cover behind the buildings and popping smoke where needs be. The Escortney actually manages to kill the Kiowa with its R60M, so great job by that Mi-8. Gonna be heading back to base to fix itself up. Yeah, both my Spezia in the air control towers and continuing to provide good eyes onto the enemy. Artillery now coming on to that enemy leader so that we get full control over that sector on the right side. Artillery from our team's been doing particularly well so far. Myself, I've just been providing a front line, getting my T-72s in abundance, ready to push through the enemy lines. You see even more on their way, just setting up more and more T-72s. Little birds pushing in, looking for some kills onto enemy infantry. Are going to be forced back, but having a real bad time. 30 mil actually getting on target there. Takes out another of those little birds on the way out. Apache now moving forwards. But Vector getting his BMP-2 into cover. My Cubs getting back into position. T-72s coming in, and I'm also going to be bringing up some Iglas. Because I noticed on the front line here, like, whilst my teammates do have some man-pad squads and it sort of AA that can engage helicopters effectively, I don't have any myself. So I don't want to be solely reliant on my teammates, just in case my teammates' AA gets killed and I don't realise. Especially as I've got now going to be coming up a fresh squad to give us some eyes further forwards. And the T-72Ms, we're now up to 8 of them. Or was that 7? That's 7 of them. Sorry. Alright, Cubs moving into position. Trying to get them as far forwards as possible so that I can take care of enemy aircraft. I hadn't seen any seed aircraft yet, so I wasn't actually turning off my Cubs. I was getting quite greedy with them. Just figured that I wasn't necessarily needing to, because our opponents haven't focused on seed just yet. And the Urals here firing away with their rockets. Look at that. Such a beastly unit, the Medla. Does have that KPVT, PKT combo that the SPWs have, just kind of lacks the armor. But really decent fire support at range against enemy infantry. So are my T-72s. These have the NSVT, PKT, and the gun there with the autoloader. Just going to continue to press forwards. Here goes the Buratino again, looking to take out both of those TOW-2s. Manages to do so very well indeed. Apache's now pushing forwards, managing to smoke off these two T-72s just to make sure those don't go down. Just hoping that my Iglas can unload and finish the job in time, but manages to get that out of there. Mi-8 goes down, but the T-72 is still in position to help out. To forwards we go. NSVT firing away. Absolutely gorgeous scenes here as the rockets fly in overhead. T-72s provide fire support onto the enemy infantry. They're starting to get a decent number of kills. Ito needs to go down. We take care of that. Infantry gets finished off. You can see the power of all these T-72s really starting to add up as we continue to get the kills onto those infantry in the buildings. Usually it does take a while for tanks to kill infantry in buildings, but because I have so many of them, we're managing to get the job done pretty quickly. So we pushed over the airfield. We got through probably the hardest part. If the opponents don't manage to secure their side of the airfield early on, getting across here becomes much easier because you kind of set up your own base of fire in their buildings, and that's what's allowing us to now put pressure onto these buildings on the backside. Good there, hits the mark. Lovely stuff. F111E going down. The T-72 is just taking a little bit of a chill pill as we wait for my RM-70 to fire away. Now starting to invest in my own rocket artillery. So that's just going to be engaging basically any positions where we see ATGMs. Taking care of those is super important because the T-72Ms only have 15 front armor, so a TOW 2 is going to do a lot of damage. A Challenger Mark II also potentially going to be a bit of a problem for the T-72s, but we do have numbers on our side. Oh, just look at the scale of this game. Absolutely amazing. Oh, MiG-25 RBF's coming in with their bombs. Big fan of the Foxbat. A very cool aircraft. Dropping its big old bombs on that left-hand side. Really kind of risky using aircraft in destruction because whilst they do a lot of damage, you can't use them so much like you can in Conquest. Like sometimes in Conquest people will use like cluster aircraft and just dive them into enemy heavy tanks to kill them off. And whilst that's okay in Conquest because you're not scored based on kills, in this you are. So if your aircraft like doesn't end up getting the kill and then dies, you end up losing like a significant amount of points, usually 200 plus. A T-72M there going to have to fall back as it does get hit by the Challenger 2, but the main way for me to deal with this Challenger 2 is to kind of soak with a couple of tanks, but after a few hits the Challenger 2 will lose its cohesion, will maintain a rate of fire sort of advantage against the Challenger and be able to take it out, because the T-72Ms, they have autoloaders. So Challenger smoking off just a bit too late there, and the T-72Ms get the job done. L6 Wombat revealing itself will go down as well. Look at all this artillery. Brad's firing away. Mi-8's in the background. Napalm. BM-21 firing away. Lama trying to bring in more aero rifles for the front, but the 101st having a real bad time in this one. More T-72Ms on the way, and you can see I was at this point floating quite a few points. That's 4 more T-72Ms, 2 Strelas to assist against all these helicopters. And meanwhile, I've just got to try and be a bit patient here. Wait for my extra tanks to arrive, wait for my AA support to arrive, and then we can continue to push forwards. Like having some Strelas earlier on would have been a really smart idea so that I could continue to put on a lot of pressure. But Coop here looking for the kills onto these aircraft, unfortunately missing out on the kills that time around. Wild Weasel on the left. It does have Seed. I do need to be keeping an eye out for Seed still. But honestly, in a 10v10, worrying about Seed isn't so much of a problem, because especially if in general you have like a lot of AA, you're still going to be able to like shoot them down even if they manage to kill like one of your AA pieces. So managed to take out on the Tornado IDS there. The Seed sitting a little bit far back. on that F-16. Smirch firing away. I love the black blast on these. That's really cool. That's obviously going for some counter battery. I'm waiting for my T-72s to arrive. They're almost here on the left-hand side. Then we'll be ready to push forwards. You can see I've also moved forwards my Conkers, moved forwards the Iglas, just to make sure that if anything sort of masses against us, we're ready for it. And the Cubs are relatively far forwards as well. These do have a 2,800 meter range versus helicopters, so they can be somewhat useful in that scenario. But with these T-72s almost arriving, it's time for us to initiate the attack. Spetsnazavklada are going to move forward so that we have eyes on these enemy units. That Milan 2 going to potentially be a problem. Hoping that the Ochrana can help kill it off. Extra shot from a T-72 will finish it off. These Spetsnazavklada okay to stay in there as long as they're not being spotted. Unfortunately, me letting that fire the SVD will potentially get it hit by rockets, but thankfully a lot of these Lynx AH-1s had already used up their rockets. There is quite a lot of HGMs flying our way. Thankfully quite a few were missing. Managed to just about smoke off that T-72M. It ends up with an engine damage which will need to be fixed up. My tanks arriving on the backside here. Should have had them moving up, particularly the Strela 10M. Getting those Strela 10Ms further up sooner would have been a great idea. Buratino will help save the Mi-24 and the Escort me. Great Buratino strike there, going to absolutely flatten the edge of that town. This concentrated push doing loads of damage onto the opposing forces. The Challenger 2, Mark 2, sorry, getting killed off there. Here we go. T-72 is ready to push forward. These two are just going to continue to fall back, as I do have a T-813 coming up to help repair things. Yeah, now we have the Strela 10Ms. It should help us against this blob of helicopters, because these are constantly being reloaded. And the Lynx AH-1s, they've got the SNEB rockets that are being reloaded that can just like harass my T-72s and their cohesion. And then if they get routed, the T-72s might get side shot by the Hell Arms. So it's potentially a nasty combination, particularly if I don't have any AA in position. And whilst I do have the manpads take a while to reload, so they don't really deal well with big blobs of helicopters. You want to have something like the Strela 10M that can fire 4 missiles in a row. Spetsnazavklada just covering the advance of the Monostrelki. The T-72s still making a move forwards as we're trying to get some pressure onto this sector. Because the more that we take from the enemies, the less income that they're going to have. And the other thing in this game mode is if you capture all of the sectors, then the game basically ends. They have like 5 minutes to capture back a sector, or they just straight up lose the game. Good timing there to smoke off. Make sure that F-16 doesn't get any kills with its AT missiles. Again, coming in with these Black Hawks. Probably the worst thing for him there, as the Tunguska absolutely rips these Black Hawks to shreds. That last one managing to just about get the infantry down, but that is a lot of Black Hawks wiped out. T-72s almost entirely fixed up and ready to go. So I've got them neatly spread, as you can see. You never, when you're using a lot of tanks like this, make sure to not bunch them up too much, because it makes them extremely vulnerable to enemy cluster aircraft and also cluster artillery. You want to make sure that they continue to be spread out. But we got the attack move underway. The Strela is going to move up. Bear in mind that the Strelas do have the same accuracy on the move as they have when they're stationary, so there's no reason not to just have them moving up at the same speed as your normal units. Just make sure that they don't get ahead of your normal units, otherwise they will be focused down pretty easily. But the Strelas really starting to do a lot of damage here. We managed to even shoot down the aircraft there with the Kub. And the T-72s are going to continue to move forwards and start to put pressure onto the M1A1s. Unfortunately going to be losing a T-72 there, as that one had used its smoke previously. But yeah, just starting to overwhelm these poor M1A1 Abrams. Way too many T-72s for them. Just advancing onto a field of flames now. Not caused by the Buratina this time, but just by all of the wrecks. Sometimes I get asked how I follow a unit on the camera. All you have to do is hover over a unit and then scroll. Use the scroll wheel on your mouse and it will automatically follow that unit. Yeah, nice kill there. Challenger 2 side shot gets the job done. Rapier goes down to the T-72. And it's just all the backline units being cleaned up, as all the frontline units are dead. With the Challenger dead and the M1A1's dead, I'm just able to move forwards and finish off the rest of the stuff. That bombing strike, though, did do a lot of damage. Managed just to kill off one of my T-72s. The other one left very, very low on health. I noticed that these ones are getting a little bit overextended, especially with the Challengers moving forwards here. And I'm hoping that my auto loaders can help us continue the pressure. My other T-72M that was low did get finished off, but he's not keen on that engagement. Big bombing strikes coming in from the F-104s. One of them did get taken out. Laser guided bomb also takes out another of my T-72s, but the F-111 with those laser guided bombs does go down, so not too sad about those trades. These tanks only cost 155 points. The F-111 is over 200. The F-104 probably about 150 or something. So yeah, decent trades. And I'm going to be able to fix up those T-72s ready for another push over this ridge. Now it might look like there should be line of sight here, but there's actually a bit of a ridge, as you can see. And that's what's kind of making it a bit awkward to get over to this other side and push into that sector. Because up until that ridge, you're getting very close range, and therefore the engagements become very lethal. And you can see that being the case with those Challenger 2s. Another nice kill there for my Cubs. This Cub actually ended up getting up to elite veterancy. Units in WARNO can level up over time, and yeah, that's just an example of it there, where that Cub's shot down so many aircraft now that it has actually leveled up its veterancy. T-80 is now taking the lead. T-80UD and T-80U of Fox will be able to make short work of Challenger Mark IIs. Those don't have smoke to spare either, so they will just go down. You're going to try and help out on the left side, but get smashed to pieces by rockets. Really, really rough. But yeah, since these tanks are now pushing forwards, I'm going to be moving forwards mine that are ready to go. Cubs are going to move forwards with their supply as well. I've got the Conkers further back moving forwards. We also set up the Spezialsaftkörper on the right hand side. Springboard a push over there. More M1A1 Abrams. One of them gets shot in the side armor by a TO-55. Rough for the M1A1. Unfortunately, my T-72M, because it's only got 2,100 meter range, is having a hard time advancing on these M1A1s. Dragon team, thankfully, not getting the job done. Strike Eagle also getting taken down by my AA. Now the Bradley, take that out at close range. The ATs are now pushing over the ridge here with our T-72s in tow, so able to get some good shots on target. Another enemy aircraft coming in there, taking out the second Strela 10M. We're using aircraft to try and break down the Strelas at close range, but since we dealt with most of the helicopters, it wasn't too much of a concern for me. T-72M finishing off the Challenger Mark II. This T-72, keep that smoked off just because I want to try and keep it alive for when I actually do push into that sector. These three T-72s on their way, more T-72M1s even coming in. These are the upgraded variants. The reason I was using the normal T-72M before is because they're really kind of decent value for money, like 155 points. I think the T-72M1's probably better value for money just because it's 170 points with 17 front armor as opposed to the 15 front armor. You also get that extra accuracy there, but I think that's mainly being caused by the T-72MK that I have with them. Regardless, T-72M1's on their way to back up the tanks that I already have. Tunguska hoping to take down the tow Cobra for us. So yeah, losing the Strelas was unfortunate. I do have another couple on the way, but Airport is a map where the reinforcements come in from so far back, especially when you're this far up in a destruction game. Just going to spread those out. D-Night could be a problem though. But all the while, T-813 going to be doing its best to repair. This T-813 almost all out of ammunition as well. The Cubs here a little bit of ahead of themselves. I couldn't really push at the moment because of the hell arms and all of these helicopters that are hanging about. So I thought what I would do is just invest all of the spare income that I had into aircraft. So you can see in the bottom left the Su-22s being invested in. And the nice thing about these Su-22s with Seed is they're 40% ECM, but they also have twin 30mm and an infrared missile. So they're really good at killing helicopters. So they can engage enemy radar AA, whilst also being able to engage helicopters. Unfortunately, a bit missed time on my part. The Phantom F3s are hanging about, so unable to really get them out safely. But this Su-22 comes in and gets the cluster strike onto two Chaparrals, which is going to open up the skies for the two Su-22s with AT that I have on the backside here. And these are going to be able to focus down the M1A1 Abrams. Now, at the end, like in the destruction game, that air display, a little bit wasteful at the end, but considering how far ahead we are, I wasn't too concerned about it, and it is going to allow us to continue our push forwards. So looking for the kills here onto the M1A1 Abrams. Managed to take out both of those M1A1s with the help of the T-72Ms. Another Abrams kill for me there. Take that one from Cat Lover. And with one more aircraft going down, we reached the 40,000 score to win. And job well done. 7,220 kills to 2,035 losses. A 3.55 KD. A lot of kills. T-72Ms really showing up. But more so than that was the Cubs. Bringing in the Cubs from the start of the game was a really good move. And thankfully, we didn't really get focused with much seed. So we were able to just freely fire at those throughout. And I had a T-813 sitting with them the majority of the time, so they were permanently reloaded. And that was really, really good. But yeah, using the Su-22 in this case to like kill the Hell Arms so close to the enemy air spawn, a little bit wasteful, because like the enemy air superiority fighters are still going to be able to shoot them down quite nicely. But in general, what I was mentioning before about these Su-22s being good for shooting down helicopters because of their high ECM and also their ability to target enemy radar AA whilst they're doing it is really, really nice. This Su-22 getting the double chaparral kill there would have opened up the skies for the Su-22s to get the shots onto the Abrams, so that was really good. But yeah, overall, just a solid, strong push from the T-72Ms. That is it for now. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.